And interestingly, it struck me recently that the people, one of the great defenders of the paper book has been the book group movement, whatever you like to call them. I love my book group, as I don't even seem to say that I love paper books. But I think it's interesting that if you look at what book groups have done to the way we read, whereas we used to pick from this infinite library and read quietly by ourselves in our own free way, now a lot of people, me included, read a book over a period of a month, usually selected from a quite, there's a sort of small current range of bestsellers and prize winners and classics that get recommended, and we read them together separately, but then we come meet up for a meal to talk about them. So what has that done to the experience of reading? I want to talk about a few projects that we've been doing, and this is one of them. The fictional stimulus. Our first fictional stimulus is based really on that book group way of doing things. We thought, well, how about sending people things over a period of a month? Emails leading to bits of e-literature, and see what they make of them, allow them to comment as they go along. And at the end of it we had a live event, online and off, in a pub just near Arts Council London actually, and people talked about how they felt about the things that they'd seen, and I hope there'll be time to show you some of the things that we showed them. That idea of making a networked community around a set of ideas is one of the most exciting possibilities really, I think, of digital fiction. Although we've been talking a lot about gadgets, I think the main thing is compelling content. We're looking for the stars of transliterature, people who will produce the kind of work that makes you think, wow, this is great. It's not just an interesting experiment, this is a really great, important piece of culture, and the way to do it is by looking at a screen or joining a community, signing up to something. So we're looking at a lot of the really exciting possibilities of future writing, and I'll say a little bit about those now. Fan fiction, where people write about their favourite characters from movies and television programmes like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Fascinating, fascinating. It breaks all the rules of what we used to think was undeniably true in the Poetry Society, for instance, that everybody wanted to be a famous poet and couldn't quite see the point of writing anything at all unless it was going to make them a star. Well, there's this huge community of people writing in a format where it's absolutely integral to the whole thing that this is unpublishable work because it's using other people's characters, it's breaking copyright. A friend of ours has a 13-year-old daughter. She isn't 13 anymore, but she was at this point. She was up in her room on the computer all the time. Everyone was very worried about what she was doing late at night online. It turned out she was writing short stories, uploading them to a website where they were being peer-reviewed by up to 50 people a night, and then she'd improve the story and it would be published, and she was basically involved in a 24/7 writers group without any support from her school or recognition from her parents. They didn't even know about it. I think that's rather wonderful. Recently we've been involved in a very exciting collaborative writing project called the 24-Hour Book, working with Completely Novel, who have a site that leads to print-on-demand facilities, and with Spread the Word, who we'd run a course with actually called In Digitalization. And over a weekend we wrote a book. About 20 writers, headed up by Kate Pullinger, met on Saturday morning with a rough idea of a theme. We wrote up our separate bits. It was all set on an allotment in Lambeth, so people wrote about their characters, and then using Google Docs they could sit next to somebody else and the two characters could meet and they could interact. So it was a very different way of writing, more like actors improvising rather than writers. And it led to a work by Monday night. Actually the main thing, the really exciting bit, was that 10 young editors from the Society of Young Publishers arrived fresh-faced on Sunday morning, took over our characters and edited the whole piece. So on Monday night we were at a launch in Soho, signing copies of a book that we'd all written but we hadn't read yet. And I have read it now, and it's too bad. It's a very, very interesting stuff. I've been very optimistic about the possibilities of these sorts of things. So that's about it. There's lots more I could tell you about. For instance, Songs of Imagination and Digitisation, the Golden Notebook Project, 2 experiments in reading that the Arts Council funded, our Digital Focus supplement, the section that we did for the bookseller recently, the monthly salons that we hold where some of our fantastic range of associates gather, and we have gathered a kind of an interesting range of digital, literature, theatre, arts, education people together, all of whom seem very interested in the kind of particular space that we occupy. And we are, well, there's me, there's Tony Lebusk, our brilliant creative director, there's Sasha Hall, very experienced filmmaker and project manager, and Liz, our administrator. All of us part-time. We're very flexible, nomadic. We work from home and we work from the Free Word Centre, of which we're associates. And I think we're extremely good value for money. So yeah, that's a good point. What do we want from the Arts Council? I've spent my working life trying to open up access to literature to new communities of readers and writers, working in libraries and then at different organisations. And what's amazing at the moment is that suddenly we all have access to everything, everywhere, all the time, thanks to our laptops, if we've got a laptop. And suddenly the challenges are quite different, and the people who used to be in that kind of field are trying to point people at things, trying to help them get into a state of mind to appreciate something other, to select the best. It's a big challenge, but it's a wonderful one because it's helping us to do what we've always wanted to do. And I really hope that the Arts Council will be able to work with us, to support us, encourage us and lots of others to be hugely ambitious, to be radical and to seize the time. Thanks very much.